Yeah, brilliant. And thanks, Shanto, for inviting myself and Gate. I'm Bob Doherty from the University of York in the United Kingdom. And Gate, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Gate. Let me open the video as well. Hi, I'm Gate Pichawadee Kittipanya-Ngam from Thammasat University. And we've been working together with Bob for the past few years regarding the social enterprises, both in Thailand and the UK.
That's good. Thanks, Kate. And what we've been trying to do is to really, despite the emergence of social enterprise in Thailand in the 1970s and 1980s, and the recent increasing population of this business form, there's been a limited amount of research on social enterprise that's been published from Thailand. So myself and Gate got together a couple of years ago. We really, that was our motivation, really to unpack what was going on in Thailand, in the Thai context. So I'm just going to put my slide down. Not sure why it's not doing that. There you go. So to unpack social enterprise in Thailand, we found we kind of merge various different approaches together. And we used Janelle's macro institutional framework. We found that very useful. But we also used models from economic sociology, such as Beckett's, where you look at networks, institutions, and also the cognitive framing of how a sector is created. And we went about the research in 3 phases. Used qualitative methodology. We started off with 31 participants in a focus group. Then we did 26 semi-structured interviews. And then we had another focus group with 26 participants as well. And what's interesting about Thailand is when social enterprise emerged in the 1970s, it was a very much the mixed model. It was and Gate will talk about this. The monarchy was involved, and the population. Some NGOs were involved as well, and it led to kind of some really interesting social enterprises like Doherty, famous restaurant in Bangkok called Cabbages and Condoms. But then what happened was a very strong international influence around 2008, 2009. Basically, this influence came from Britain, and the Prime Minister at the time, Abbasid, was very close and had been educated in Oxford and was very close to the government at the time. And the British Council played actually an important role in Thailand, promoting the social enterprise business model. And in 2010, the Thai Social Enterprise Office was set up in Bangkok. And then in May 2000, and then obviously there was a kind of raft of key events that took place that were instigated by the Thai government. And maybe Gate, you want to pick up here and talk about some of these key events.
Sure. Actually, as Bob has mentioned, that the emergence of SE in Thailand was like 30 years ago, but mainly through those people who have who have enough wealth to actually distributing and helping others with the social engagement. And though afterwards, not many SE has been emerging until the movement of the government in 2009. And it gets further in 2010, whereby they set up the social enterprises. And another big movement is basically in 2014, whereby the Social Enterprise Promotion Act has been first proposed to the Parliament, and it's been passed in 2019, whereby we actually combine the best of both worlds. Basically, we learn from the UK as well, whereby you have the Social Value Act and all the KIC, community interest company information, whereby you have the list of the asset log and all those measures, how to classify the SE. So we combine the UK models plus the South Korean model as well to draft our bills to fit the Thai Thai context. So mainly we have the SE funding, the seed fund. We have the support in terms of the tax intensive, and we have the restriction about the asset locks and the limited dividend that can be given back to the shareholders of the SE. So since then, there's been a lot of companies being registered, but first 10 companies was the founding members to register as the SE under the MOC in Thailand. So based on the framework, I can explain a bit of the three bubbles. First is the institution. Monarchy, when you see the Monarchy Mae Phar Luang Foundation, is one of the first foundation in Thailand 30 years ago that's been founded by the late King Ramanai's mother and himself to help the north of Thailand, whereby during those times we have the golden triangle problems of the drugs. So they went in to try to change the occupation of these Hill tribes. So eventually it turns out that the coffee can be grown better than the coffee, the how to say marijuana trees up there. So now Mae Phar Luang has spin themselves to set up a new company to be NSE, and then they are now doing the coffee business to help the local tribes. And all these institutions has been set up since 30 years ago, and then now during the past 10 years that it's been increasingly set up, like the Stock Exchange of Thailand also started to set up the social impact platform to help SE to register and help liquidating and search for more fund for the SE, but it's not yet open publicly, just like the normal trading stocks. And also the university start to have the courses on the SE for the master degree, for the undergrad degree, and also short courses. And also the social value UK has also the representative in Thailand as well. We call Social Value Thailand. And of course, I also one of the founder to help educating people about SROI, how to actually measuring the social impact, understand more of the what does it call SE, because people still get a bit confused. What can be called SE, what cannot be, or what should be. So I think these institutions function, especially giving the fundings, giving the information, educations, and helping the incubating and boosting the SE to be a lot more in Thailand. And also on the right, social network. Also, this has only been set up, I think, only for the past 10 years, whereby we see that only institutions are not enough to help spring up the amount of SE in Thailand, because it requires the facilitators who actually speak both the language of for example, when we try to help people with disability, we need the person who understands their language. When I say language, it's not like Thai language, but these people don't feel inclusive in Thailand or in the society. So how to actually understand them, the private sector who give the funding don't really understand what's going through. So this social network are actually helping facilitating and lubricant to make the whole system going forward. Like Chain Fusion is the investment platform to help people understand more of what is SE and what company is like, and then the private sector can actually put the money in for investment. Nice Corporation is also the network to help with people with disability, mainly linking the Stock Exchange of Thailand's firms to invest and helping with people with disability in Thailand. Ashoka also has been set up in Thailand. G-Lab is basically set up by the university to help educating people as well. And also we have quite a lot of number has spring up. And also the last one, Cognitive Frames. We have actually quite a lot of the small stakeholders and those people who when we start with SE, we start with the social problems. So the themes that happening in Thailand mainly is about the sustainable tourism, because Thailand has been a big hub for the tourism, and how to actually help the local tribes, the local people to earn more money, to have a better living, yet still keeping their own heritage and cultures. So we have a few companies doing the sustainable tourism, even though now they have a bit of the crisis because of the COVID, but we are still helping each other. And also the organic farming has been very interesting frames for us as well. Yep, Bob, you can go to the next one. Oh, and also this, the first one, which say state-private partnership, in the brackets called Pichawadee. This is initiated by the government, whereby they bring in the funds from the big corporates, 50%, and also government put in 50%. And in Thailand, we have 76 provinces. So we have set up 76 small funds for each provinces to be used. Each province has about 1 to 2 million baht to spend, and it has to show that some SE has been set up and going continue the operations after this funding from Palang Pracharat come up. And Bob, maybe you can also continue a bit.
Sure, and thanks, Kate. And I think this at the same time, you've also got the founders who kind of responded to this state-private sector partnership, which was providing tax incentives for corporations to set up social enterprises by feeling they needed to set up their own association. So you have these kind of contestation and tension between the founders and the kind of state-private sector, and some concern around the fact that maybe the private sector, through its corporate social responsibility, setting up its own social enterprises, might lead to some co-optation, which is around, taking the more convenient elements of social enterprise, losing that opportunity to be transformative and be more radical. And so I think that's in contrast to what happened in South Korea, where you got more of a state non-profit partnership to kind of develop social enterprise. Whereas in Thailand, what you're seeing now is really a kind of state and private sector, hence the interest from the Stock Exchange Thailand and other big, large private sector bodies. And so what we've discovered and what we are proposing in our paper in the special issue, which you kindly put together, Yanto, is that actually Thailand demonstrates an example of an authoritarian state corporate model, which we think is a contribution to Janelle's kind of typology of countries when it comes to kind of strategic, diverse and semi-strategic model. And as I said already, this is in contrast to what happened in South Korea. So I think it's really fascinating, and we continue to work on. We're actually going to start looking at the ecosystem in Thailand, how these different networks and associations are kind of tackling wicked problems. And I'm hoping as soon as COVID gets under control that I'm able to travel and continue my work with Gate. And thank you very much for the time to present our paper. Thanks, Yanto.